What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho, where we're all doing the Trump dance. I am the one-armed madman, and back with me from the Badlands of southern Montana, he's doing the Trump dance too. It's Nolan 5150. What's up, man? We live in a free country again.
There might be some hope, maybe.
There could be. I've seen a lot of hopeful shit this week, I can tell you. There's some beautiful things going on in the world, and it's all revolving around politics.
Uh-huh. I'll tell you what, it was scary as fuck there. I mean, it was even on election night, I was the whole time, I'm just like, not going to get my hopes up.
Oh, really?
You know, I mean,
See, there was
in 2020, it was the same way. Everything, in my opinion, I mean, not quite as extreme for the the red wave, but it felt very similar, and everything looked like it was going good until I went to bed, woke up, and then everything just got flipped on its head.
See, 2020, I had zero confidence that he was going to win. I was fully on board with their cheating like crazy, and there's just nothing he's going to be able to do to stop them. And I think that's essentially what happened. This time, though, because we've been doing the show for, almost over 2 years now, that I've been on Trump's going to win for, 6 months to a year now. I've been saying he's going to win. There was not 1 second where I thought he was going to lose. I don't know why. I just knew in my bones I should have bet. I really should have bet because I just felt that he was going to win. One of the things that is kind of that I know I've talked with you about on the podcast before is when I go to a concert around here, there's something happening, right? It's different than when I moved here, and it's freedom is what's happening. We're a bunch of refugees from California, and we all get together in places and go listen to Stained or Pennywise, and we all kind of recognize each other because a 951 or flat bill hat sticks out like nobody's business, right? So we stand out like a sore thumb to each other. So it's every time I go to one of these shows, it's this big group of refugees that are all just happy to be here and to be free and to be out of that shithole. You know what I mean? And I kind of have had that feeling for the rest of the country in the past week. Did you see any of the clips from the last UFC fight?
No, I heard a few of them. Didn't.
So they were all doing the dance after everybody's doing the dance. As soon as John Jones won, he did the fucking dance, and then he jumped out of the octagon, went over and gave Trump a big hug. They, got in and were talking for a minute, and then he gave Trump the belt.
I saw
and
that.
Then he went back into the octagon and talked to Joe, and he was like, "Hey, man, we're fucking back. We're not going back to whatever that was. We made it out of that. We've made it, and we're not going back to that. We are done with this shit." And I really have a hopeful feeling for the future.
Yeah, it's definitely hope. Hope is in the air. It's unfortunate, but it's just one of those human nature things, in my opinion. You go through. We'll have a period of time where things get good, and then people kind of get complacent.
They'll get complacent
and then forget what has to be done and the way things need and should be in order for things to be good and stay good.
We all know what needs to be done.
Yep, and then people just start with their
my Cartman.
And then
you remember his Mel Gibson fan club? We all know what needs to be done.
And then it eventually just slowly starts to go back to this crazy
for sure.
Bullshit, and it's kind of the way it's got to be. So it sucks, but hopefully we're gonna be good for a while now.
Right now, it seems like freedom-loving, red-blooded Americans have kind of got the reins, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
we yank the reins out of your hand and go, no, you're not driving the cart anymore. Dad's back in charge now. We've let the kids drive for too fucking long, and we don't even know where we are anymore. Like, we're supposed to be heading to Oregon, and we could be in Mexico for all we know, right?
Yeah.
Give me the reins. It's time for the adults to like get back in charge and get this ship back around again. But those crazy people aren't going anywhere. And to prove that, here's a video from, I think this was in Utah last week, right after the election.
Evening to you and welcome here to ABC4 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Sarah Murphy. Brian McElhatton is on assignment here today. We begin with an ABC4 exclusive for you. In Salt Lake City, a woman is in custody after climbing onto electrical transformers in an apparent mental health episode, causing power to shut down for hundreds of people today. This happened at Rocky Mountain Power's headquarters in the Power District. That's according to Salt Lake City Police.
Transmission substation.
One witness says the woman had a metal pipe with her, smashed an entire control panel, and then dangled on some wires. You see some of that here. The energy company says they shut down the power, affecting about 800 people this morning. Video shows SLCPD firing a non-lethal rubber bullet.
They shot her in the
to put
snatch.
her into a cherry picker lift.
Seriously?
Yeah. Legs wide.
You heard some of that sound there. Now, we spoke to the man who shot this video. He recounted some of what he heard today.
4 or 5 cop cars started flying in. I saw the negotiator kind of trying to calm her down, and she was just really upset. Sounded like she was really mad at the world. It's not a safe place for her. The world is not doing her a favor. It's not safe for the future children.
The future children.
Now, that's what he remembered hearing today.
Was that Greta?
Someone wants to fuck you.
She was taken to a hospital. She's now in custody, and the power has since been
They had
back
to
on.
remove a rubber slug from her snatch.
Jeez.
This woman is so lucky. She has no idea how close she came to becoming a bucket of fried chicken right there. Like, just literally, we'll scrape up the ashes later. Like, I knew what I was doing, and I still blew myself up. This bitch had no fucking clue what she was touching, right? And, like, just real quickly, because I don't know how long my screen record's going to last, and I'd like to get a couple videos in real quickly. Here is a 500 kV switch closing. I think that this was they knew that this was going to happen. They just couldn't stop it. So that's why they stood back and filmed it. But this is something. I mean, fried chicken. That's what that lady should have been.
Dude.
Fried chicken. Here's another
I
one.
can't believe
One
she's
more
not.
quick one. Here's a substation blowing up. The noise is gnarly. When you hear electrical arcs just going fucking crazy, not much scarier than that. Like, it literally makes the hairs on your arm stand up because of all the static and shit, but oh boy, those arcs are terrifying. I was working in North Dakota and I almost quit the job this day. So I worked with a shitty guy. Like, he was just bad at the job. He was a moron. He'd been there longer than me, but I was like instantly higher than him on the pecking order, even though I didn't know as much as him. And one day we got the line truck. Somebody had dropped a trailer in the wrong spot. It was a wire reel. So we had this big reel of wire and we needed to move it. So we had to, get onto the trailer. We probably could have grabbed some heavy equipment and jiggered it around a little bit, but that wasn't really necessary because as soon as I, hook the trailer up to the car, I start walking around to the front and I go, "Hey, Brad, live lines over your head." And then I come around on top and then I hear, and I see big fucking flames coming out of the outriggers. And I'm like, holy shit. This guy, Tom, was fucking going to the trailer. He was this far away, almost turned to fried chicken. It was the gnarliest thing I did. And I remember telling my ex-wife, if he doesn't get fired for this, I'm going to quit. And they did fire him, unfortunately, because then I stayed. Maybe if I would have quit, I'd be in a better position right now. But man, it really is something. These crazy people that think that they can just go and like, hey, I'll just go to a power station and do the same thing these kids are doing to art museums. It's like, no, man, this is real life out here. Art museums are not real life. Like, if you want to combat climate change, the last thing you want to do is take a pipe to a transformer.
Yeah, yeah. I the whole time I was watching those, I just was imagining you and like you said, the hair standing up on your arms, just like shit.
Yeah, I was on the ground one day, and Cody, my buddy, was up in the line truck, and we were the line that actually got me. We were working on that line. The line had so much capacitance in it and it was just there was so much running through it all the time. Like it was just overloaded. It was designed for a couple homesteads, and then they put a compressor station on it. So we've got these big underlying gas lines with you need compressors every couple 100 miles to keep the things going. So that we dropped this transformer down that's bigger than the office I'm sitting in right now. It took a crane to drop the fucking thing down. So it's just got so much load on it, right? And we're ending up so we go around and we start swapping out all the switches because the switches were all fused for a lot lower capacity line than what we were working on. So we start going to these solid blade switches, and he goes and he I swear I've never seen anything like this before. He fucking goes and like we've got jumpers across, right? And the switch is gonna be thrown. So he takes away the jumper, or he throws the switch, and as he goes to take away the jumper, it arcs because there's so much fucking load on the line that it doesn't even want to fuck with that blade at all. It just wants out, right? Going to ground. So he's going away, and the thing won't fucking stop. And he starts like pulling away from the, with the bucket truck. So he's still holding on to this 14 kV arc, just a few 6 feet, 8 feet from him. And he gets it as far back to where he couldn't pull the jumper anymore. And the jumpers don't just pull off. You have to like unscrew them with a hot stick. So he put it in his left hand, and he took off his hard hat and threw it at the switch as hard as he could, and the arc broke. It was the gnarliest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Something else, right?
So there was basically like fucking lightning between the jumper and shit.
A big plasma bolt just going making this gnarly noise. Wild, plasma spewing off of it, going onto the ground. I'm standing under there like, what do I do? And I asked him, I was like, do you want me to climb up with another hot stick? And he's like, fuck no, stay off the pole. I was like, okay, good. I didn't want to do that anyways.
Jesus, that's crazy, man.
So you want to be a lineman, right?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the quote? We, the willing, led by the unknowing, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful. We have become so good at doing so much with so little that we are now qualified to do the impossible. That's a great fucking quote right there.
Who's that?
Anyways. It's been attributed to a bunch of people. I don't know who actually said it. I think Mother Teresa got attributed to it, but other people say that she didn't say it either. But it's a great quote for a lineman, I'll tell you that, right? And it's something. It's a really gnarly job, man. Like these fucking tech geeks do not understand what people like us go through to allow them to train AI. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's just build another one. Oh, 400,000 miles of power lines for windmills. Yeah, no problem. It's like, you don't know how many people that's going to kill and maim. It's going to be a lot. If we were going to build 400,000 miles of power lines in this country in the next 10 years like they want to, it would be a graveyard. Just a fucking graveyard. Because you couldn't train enough people to do it fast enough. You just couldn't. So you'd end up using people like me to do jobs that I wasn't really qualified to do. And it would just destroy people. It would kill tons of people. People would be maimed. And we would have to completely rethink the way civilization is ran. Until somebody can make a robot that will do line work, you're going to have people getting fucked up, just like me. And I don't think for a second that we're going to have a robot that can do line work in the next 20 to 30 years. I just do not believe it. Well, too much shit goes down. Like these Tesla robots, you can program them to do cool things. You can have it bartend. All it has to do is pick up a cup and fill it up with, like that's super easy to program. And you could even have somebody back there with a controller, which I think they're probably doing. Personally, I don't think that these robots really have the capacity to have any outside programming, do anything outside of their programming. I think they're so narrowly programmed in order to make these videos that we see that as soon as you turn the camera off, they don't do shit, because we'd be having them within the market right now if they could actually do what they're supposed to do. So like Are we going to be able to have a robot arm mount to your kitchen and do your dishes in the next 30 years? Maybe. But that arm only has so many variables that it has to deal with. All right, this plate's a little stickier than the other one. Maybe I have to reach a little further for this glass than I did last night. That's, things that you can do. Like my arm does stuff like that, right? Like my arm can continue to program and learn and get better and listen to my arm a little bit better each day that I program it. But it's not just, you can't just plug it into somebody else's arm and have it listen. It's too different. There's too much going on. It just wouldn't work. So it's the same thing with these fucking robots, man. If you take a robot out to the field to do line work, it's like, it's going to trip over rocks. It's going to be falling over itself because you can't really program these things to like live in nature and to react to things in a way that a human does. Like you're going to tell it, okay, go build the pole. What happens if it gets to the pole and there's, something built on the top of it that it's not familiar with? Well, now we got to have a person come out, right?
Like a bald fucking eagle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No,
so I just don't believe it.
Yeah, no, that makes
I don't
sense.
believe it.
That makes so sense because, I mean, I have eyes. The top of every pole is not set up identical. If everyone was identical, and then it like you could have a robot that you put it on the pole, it knows, it climbs to the top of the pole, it has some kind of reference point, and then it knows from there. It has the same shit every time, which is not the fucking case.
Yeah, they might be able to do like straight 500 kV transmission lines, set a tower, run wire, set a tower, like on a dead flat plane in Texas somewhere. It might be able to do that in the next 50 years. But take it to California, where like some of the shit my dad worked on was so fucking gnarly. Like he showed me some of the pictures of the shit that he worked on. Like I was in North Dakota, so everything was flat. Like if we had a little bit of a hill, like it was, threw a big wrench in our spokes. But like in California, man, like you got poles going up sheer mountaintops. You got to bring helicopters in. You got to blow holes with dynamite. There's just no way to allow a robot to work in that capacity. It's just so far. Like Elon can't get these cars to drive on their own. How in the fuck do we think that he's going to have a robot in your house in the next 10 years? It's just ridiculous, in my opinion.
Well, then we gotta agree on the definition of a robot.
Well, you know what? Let's not open that rabbit hole tonight. Let's just continue. Let's continue and go elsewhere. One of the best parts about this election has been that it's a complete repudiation of like the establishment, of the established order for the past, 30, 40 years that the neocons have like really held the reins. And it was also a repudiation of the corporate media. So here is our favorites who have been calling Trump a Nazi nonstop for the past 8 years. Let's go to Morning Joe.
1 in 5 adults regularly get their news from influencers on social media.
This is not the video I sent you.
The number is even
Let's
higher
listen to it
among
anyways.
Younger Americans.
Actually, first off, let's go back to this other one. We'll do the then now. Then we'll weave around back into the other one. How about that? Okay.
That the news network that
here's before
that is most critical of him should be taken off the air. This is not a reach. I could go back and talk about Nazi Germany, and I do it without any concerns whatsoever. And if people can't start drawing the parallels, well, you're just stupid, or you have your head in the sand, or you're one of them.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Interesting. That's an interesting little tidbit there. We haven't talked to him except for a personal call. Wait a minute. Why did you have to qualify it as a personal call?
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe there's a business side and a personal side to what's going on here? Because Trump had a very, very interesting remark on the Joe Rogan podcast that I tried to find really hard today, but I just couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm not going to search 3 hours, through the podcast to find a 10-second snip away. But he was talking about, he was like, yeah, my friends call me all the time. They say, Don, I'm going to take a job in the corporate, but they want me to be negative against you. And I say, be negative. I don't care. I want my friends to make the money.
Yeah, that checks out.
These guys are friends. These guys are friends. They don't get along with politics, but that's the business thing. On a personal level, I called him as soon as he had the attempt on him. It's like, wait a minute. So you have a personal relationship with Hitler now. That's kind of interesting.
Personal phone call to Hitler. A
personal relationship with Hitler, with basically Hitler. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's continue.
In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful. He was upbeat. He seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote.
No one bought your bullshit,
Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Really is something. Her father was one of the worst people who's ever lived. The guy started endless wars, trained the Taliban, just an awful, terrible, disgusting person. Even ChatGPT thinks he's awful. It was wild. I was like, wow. Tell me some of the worst things he's done. And we're not going to go through them on here because it's kind of boring. But, it's amazing that these people just kind of fall into these positions. It's like, I would imagine she worked hard to get where she's at. No, her father was a piece of shit, so she gets the job. That's just how it goes,
Yeah.
It's they know that they're fucked though. And that's the great part about this. And that's our second clip here. They know they're fucked. And I forgot to send you this one, I think, but you get the picture. Let's play it anyway.
1 in 5 adults regularly get their news from influencers on social media. The number is even higher among younger Americans, with almost 40% under the age of 30 getting their news from those sources. According to the Pew Research Center, the social media site X remains the most widely accessed platform, followed by Instagram and YouTube.
I mean, that comes obviously for political news. And Mike, that's the challenge. You grew up in a newsroom like Gene grew up in a newsroom. I mean, that's a lot of challenge. That's a challenge for a lot of mainstream media sources is, do they make themselves relevant again to hear 20% of adults who actually get influencers on social media?
I don't know
maybe somebody who makes baskets, and while they're making baskets, they look up and say, vote for candidate X.
I don't know how they make themselves, how we make ourselves relevant again, because we can't compete with 20-second snippets on an iPhone, walking up the street, getting your entire news digest of the day in less than a minute on your phone as you're walking under the crowd with coffee in one hand and your phone in the other. I don't know how we catch up to that.
Yeah, so Gene Robinson, do you agree with Mike? Because I find this hard to believe.
Well,
that younger voters would be more interested in getting an entertaining 20-second news snippet than watching a cable news show for 4 hours from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on morning. Come on. This seems like an easy choice to us here.
What is wrong with these people? Exactly.
Laughing it up.
I mean, look,
they are
if I knew the answer, I would implement it immediately, right? And reverse this. But we have to compete. I mean, the answer is we don't know how to compete with these social media basket-making influencers or whatever, but we have to, and so we've got to figure out ways to do it, and maybe we make our own 20-second snippets, and we meet viewers where they are, we meet news consumers where they are, because they're not here, and that's the problem.
Coming up,
we begin with Ibarra's roommate.
How many people do you think watched that episode of Morning Joe?
20,000?
28. And they lost 38% of their they lost 38% of their viewership as soon as they said that they talked about Trump. 38% within 2 hours. This is incredible to me. They're always just passing the buck, passing the puck. They will never actually, they don't get it. They still don't get it. How can we compete with an underwater basket weaver with 20-second videos? It's like, there are 20-second clips of you, Joe Scarborough, all over X right now. All over the place. Because we take clips of you all the time and make fun of you because you're a fucking loser. Right? And then they go, we have 4 hours. We're on for 4 hours. How can we compete with somebody that's 20 seconds? It's like, I don't know. 100 million people just watched Trump for 3 hours on Joe Rogan. Maybe it's not about the time length.
Oh, it's
maybe
for
it's
sure
about
not.
the content and about you, war criminal, daughter of a war criminal, about you, former Republican congressman, piece of shit, Joe Scarborough, turncoat, fucking liberal now. Like, they don't like you. It has nothing to do with your format. Sure, commercials suck. And everybody you have on is annoying, but it's not the format. Like, Piers Morgan's killing it right now. Absolutely killing it. Like, and all he does is have like 4 people from the internet come on and scream at each other all day. It's unwatchable stuff, but it's getting millions and millions of views. And it's like, they don't get it. They can't get it. Censorship is the only play they have. That's it.
Yeah. They want mandated viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Make it back to 4 channels again. Man, Walter Cronkite, he didn't have to compete with anybody because this is all there was, right? Like, you just went to that channel because that's where it was. And we're never going back to that unless they completely get rid. They still don't understand how the internet works or why things work the way they do on the internet. They don't understand why their clips get destroyed on Twitter, and they go, well, that's just Twitter. It's not real life. But then Twitter becomes real life, and now they have no idea how to square that circle, right? They just are pulling at straws, essentially. They really don't get it. It has nothing to do with the time period. Sure, maybe a bunch of Gen Zers go on TikTok and watch those stupid things, but me and you don't watch that crap.
Nope.
I don't know anybody that watches that crap. I watch 3-hour podcasts.
Yeah, that who said some? I can't remember exactly. It was something like, this is podcast administration or something like that. But and what was I gonna say? We're like entering an interdimensional cable era. There's so many,
sweet. Interdimensional cable, like on Rick and Morty.
yeah.
Yes,
But
I love that.
It's just they're not. I mean, it kind of is a little bit natural. They're just stuck in their ways and getting evolved out of the system, I guess, in a way. But it's really kind of funny to me how all these liberal anti-Trump outlets are changing their tune so fucking fast. and that right there is should be. I mean, anybody who subscribed to that and voted that way and everything should just be really, really taking a hard look in the mirror and reevaluating their
everything about your life.
Yeah. When you're, I mean, when Biden won in 2020, I can't recall any outlets, I mean, that I listened to flip, go from talking negatively about Biden and everything to all of a sudden trying to open up lines of communication. It just seems really spineless, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so now their thought is we have to get our own Joe Rogan. We need our own Joe Rogan we can compete in the marketplace of podcasting. So I didn't have this clip on, but it as soon as you started talking, it brought it up into my mind. So here's Chris Cuomo not getting it. And my time, I'm going to have to rewind it a little bit, so it'll be a second. But here we go.
You'll have Stephen A. Smith.
Here we go.
The idea that the guys that you see as just a level of talent, you're going to have better talent enter the space. Instead of like Dave Smith, who's like a second, third tier comedian, you'll have Louis C.K.
Louis C.K.
You'll have Sebastian
doesn't
Maniscalco.
Do politics.
You'll have
doesn't
Stephen
do
A.
politics.
Smith.
Doesn't do
you'll
politics.
have Kevin Hart. You'll
doesn't
have
do politics.
A-level talent that wants to enter the space and start owning these constituencies.
That don't do politics.
Benny Johnson, Ben Shapiro. This is not A-level talent.
Offer me money.
And then what does that make you, Chris Cuomo?
Offer me.
What the fuck does that make you? Dave Smith destroyed you in a debate over COVID. Absolutely wiped the floor with you. Made you look like a complete fucking fool. That's what they don't get. We don't want A-level talent. We don't want somebody who has been plucked by the powers that be and stuck in front of your face to say that's the great person, like a Stephen A. Smith or a Sage Steele. Those are our corporate journalists who got fed up with wokeism. That does not mean that they are now all of a sudden a voice for the people. It does not mean that they are going to lead us in a direction of freedom and prosperity. All that means is they got fed up with their old job. Like, we have people like Dave Smith who has built a reputation of credibility, along with people like Joe Rogan, or Tim Pool. These people who have been hammering for a long time, they are A-level talent. They just aren't the same talent as you are. They weren't picked by the casting couch. These were picked by the people. These are people who we said, we like you, we believe you, we want you to speak for us. If there is like very few people in the world that I could just give my opinion to and say, whatever this person says, I will go along with. Dave Smith is one of those people. I don't care what the question is, what the policy is, what the moral argument is. If Dave says it, it's right. I have full fucking faith in that. Joe Rogan, I don't have that same faith with because he still has some weird liberal shit going on that he's not, going to be able to get rid of because he's a lifelong liberal. But the thought that we have to have casting couch podcasters is so stupid. Like, people want authenticity. That's what they want. That's why Richmond, north of Richmond, went crazy. Yes. Because it was a real guy singing from his fucking soul on a guitar by himself in the middle of the fucking woods. I don't care about that other guy's stupid song. I don't even remember his name or what the song was about, but there was one before it that was about Not in My Hometown, I think it was called, something like that. And it was written by a group of people in a boardroom to be successful on the radio because they knew it would incite a reaction from people like us.
Yep.
That's bullshit. That's fucking snake level bullshit done in a corporate law room where nobody in redneck America is being represented. All they're really trying to do is sell you something. That's all that guy is let me sell you something, anything. We hate you people, but we love your money. So here you go. We don't want that. We're done with that shit. Give us some real talk. Give us some fucking, like this. Give us a podcast with two people that they can really just let it rip. I wasn't planning on saying any of this. This was, we're 2 videos past my notes right now. I'm not even in my notes anymore. This is just,
raw.
Something hit. Yeah, this is raw shit. This is what people fucking like. Maybe not us all that much, but they don't know we're here to like us or not. So
all what, 20 people that watch?
Yeah, well, we do have 61 subscribers now.
Oh shit! Let's get that 100. But one thing I want to say was with Joe Rogan, like, and same thing like Tim Pool. I've only been listening to Rogan for, I don't know, maybe like 5 years, and Tim Pool probably maybe a year and a half. But the thing that I really liked, what I liked about Rogan was just kind of, even his conversations, like you said, he does seem to kind of like have a little bit liberal views on things from time to time, but nothing like real like critical.
No deal breakers. There's no deal breakers, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some people, there's a deal breaker here. It's like, dude, I could get on board with you, but this is just a bridge too far.
Yeah. But I really all leading up, and there's all the talk about, Rogan, is endorsing Trump, whatever. And the way he played it and held out till the end and then had him on and everything. And then even still, he's not like super outspoken and stuff, but he now definitely has more of a tone of, kind of on the same tone as Tim Pool, because both being original Democrats, liberals, and everything like that, and have been basically pushed out of their supposed party because of the extreme just insanity that they're supposed to step in line with in order to maintain their party status or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's they I've heard them both say it's not like they're not like full Trump supporters or whatever, but it's like, well, looking at the
Team
tail
freedom,
of the tape,
team authoritarianism, right? Like that's the way I've been looking at it for the past couple weeks. It's like, hey, look, we've got team freedom over here, and maybe you won't like everything about team freedom, but you're gonna like a lot of it, if not most of it. This thing over here,
it ain't working.
Is burnt Thanksgiving dinner. You remember the bird that they pulled out on Christmas Vacation, and it looks all beautiful, and then they carve it and it goes. That's the Kamala campaign right there. Shitter's full. Shitter's full. Let's you want to check in with Vivek Ramaswamy and see what he's got planned for us? One of my big complaints is like that a lot of these people that are coming in, they're going to do good things, but they're reformers, not so much abolitionists. So let's see if Vivek puts any of that to rest.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies, like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example? Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So, yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
And I'm hard. That's good enough for me. I'll take it. I'll take that. Thank you very much. I would absolutely love. I would like it if he did, like, you remember the Javier Milei where he was like, afuela, afuela, afuela. He should do one of those, maybe do it in Indian, come up with a cool Indian word to burn it down with. He's going to be the, like, so they're calling it DOGE, Department of Election or Government efficiency. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's going to be him and Elon, but Elon's just going to be the public face of that. Like Vivek's going to be the real brains, and he'll be swiping the pen. One of the things he said is like you can't, and I couldn't find this clip, but he said that you can't like target people to fire, but what you can do is say, all right, if your social security number ends in an even number, you're fired. The entire department, the entire government, they can just say, hey, you're fired. That's it. Social security number's odd, gone. And I've heard a lot of these governors and a lot of, senators bitching and complaining. Oh, we're not going to go through with it. We're not going to put Matt Gaetz. There's no way. That may not be true. There is something called a recess appointment, which I had never heard of until this week. Did you hear about this? This is interesting.
I heard about it. Yeah.
So essentially, Trump can go, you know what? Congress, Senate, you guys aren't doing your job. And I'm going to put you on recess until I feel like you're ready to come back to work. And in the meantime, I'm going to be appointing these people to do these jobs. And that's that. It's done. And I really think that Trump has got an axe to grind right now. The dude is fucking pissed, right?
You fucking better.
I really hope he takes these people to town. I really do. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking with Dan earlier tonight. Like, Dr. Fauci and Toucan Sam should be hiding in a hole in the desert right now, like Saddam Hussein did, or his body double did, in fear of RFK. But they're not. These guys are sleeping at night in their mansions. Toucan Sam, he's snorting Fruit Loops all night, not worried about a fucking thing. And those aren't the Fruit Loops from America. That Toucan, he's snorting Australian Fruit Loops.
It's that good Canadian Fruit Loops.
Oh man, now we've got a couple good titles. I mean, Toucan Sam up all night snorting Fruit Loops. That's a good one. Anyways, let's check in with some of these. Let's check in with some of the places that Vivek might knock off first. Oops, I didn't hit the record button. Let's see. Our videos are going to be fucked for the next couple weeks until I can figure out this iPad debacle. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's either going to be no videos or I'm going to have to, I don't know. Anyways, let's go.
Do you guys remember this administration hiring tens of thousands of IRS workers so that they can come after us for back taxes and audits to try to generate more revenue for the country? Only to find out from 2021 to 2023, there's almost 6,000 IRS workers that owe about $50 million in back taxes.
Rules for thee.
You hired these people to come after us, and your own employees owe $50 million? Ain't that about a... Oh, it gets better. Hold on. And even though the IRS has the ability to fire these people because they owe back taxes, only 20 of them have been fired. And look at this. You're telling me that some of these people have had misconduct, sexual misconduct, inability to perform duties, and 282 of them have been rehired? You're coming after us when your own house is a mess? I can't wait for Trump to start cleaning house. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Ugh. It's like, imagine if a police station employed a bunch of cops who all beat the shit out of their wives. Oh, wait. Bad example, because that's happening all over the country. It's almost like the government refuses to investigate itself. I don't know what the deal is, right? They say they investigated themselves and they found nothing wrong, but I don't know. I mean, I guess a couple of those guys' wives might have, had it coming.
Actually fell down the stairs.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I guess, it's possible that the guy's kid tied her shoelaces together before she went to the gym that morning and, I've got another one here. Here we go. This is, what are we time at? Let me see what else we got. We're going to the moon. Let's go to the moon, everybody.
Commissioners, today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in your county. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Now, unfortunately, I can't show you these clips in here today, but I will be sending them to you.
What is that?
Outside the International Space Station, during space...
fucking special
Yeah,
effects?
like really bad.
Come on.
Dude, those
Come
were
on.
so gnarly. The glitches were gnarly on those, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've always heard that the ISS is fake. There's no pictures of it ever being built, but I've never seen like those videos before where it's like, holy shit, that's like egregious.
Yeah. I've heard the same theory that there's no evidence that it was ever built, and then it's so huge you wouldn't be able to just like launch it in one fucking whack. You know, there should have been many fucking launches sending piece after piece after piece. Where the fuck is that?
That's like Sam Tripoli's explanation for NASA is that they're just a jobs program. All they do is like pay these people a shitload of money to build nothing, and then they just launch it into the ocean from a missile, and there's nothing up there, and it's kind of hard to argue with, right? Like,
yeah,
that is. Let's continue. There's more to this.
Walks, air bubbles have been recorded on numerous occasions. How is it possible for air bubbles to be present in the vacuum of space?
It ain't.
I once questioned astronaut Scott Kelly about this phenomenon.
Whose brother is a senator now. Hey, Scott, where was it that you worked in again while you were up in space? Were you in an office in Arizona? Great. We're going to need you to vote no on that bill. Thanks, buddy. Keep up
His
the great
body
work.
language and answers only created more questions. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned during a spacewalk when his helmet filled with water.
Huh?
This happened again just last year. Air bubbles, helmets filling with water, and drowning. Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they train for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica.
I did know that.
Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool
Dude,
and then editing them to appear if they're in
the
space.
screen like that,
Because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. And if they are indeed faking the funk, it is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further.
Give it to
You have the power to start the conversation. Video evidence of everything I described today will be emailed to you all, and I truly hope we can get to the bottom of this. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about.
Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. We don't take care of our own citizens around here. Around here, we send money to Ukraine, boy. Yeah, I mean, that's a fun one. I really love it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've always, like, my take on NASA is I could go either way. I've said for years now that I am 50-50, that we either never went to the moon or we have bases on the backside and we're fucking around with aliens right now. Like, I could go either way on that. Flip the coin, I'll take it. Like, I really don't know what these people are doing. I do know that they started, like, building or, you know, getting money for the James Webb Space Telescope when I was in grade school, like in the 90s. And the thing just got launched a couple years ago. It's been up there for like a year or two. And it's like, I mean, you've seen the SpaceX video of that big fucking rocket landing, right? Like, he's gone from no vertical landings to like the biggest rocket ever vertical landings in a matter of a couple years. And it took them forever to make a telescope. Like, I don't know. I guess a telescope would probably be harder to make than just the rocket to put the telescope on. But I mean, come on, you've had 30 years, people. Get it together.
Yeah, well, that, you know, that's classic, you know, government controlled projects versus privatized. Governments just, they're a fucking money sponge. just takes, and who knows where all the money goes. And then private companies, the whole point is to get results to make more money.
Make money.
Get more results.
Yeah, make some fucking money. Exactly. Get results and make money. The government should not be in the business of science, period. Like, they shouldn't be doing science research. They shouldn't be building science. Like, that should be left to the market to figure out, right?
Yeah.
We didn't start, like, governments never paid for science until World War II and the Manhattan Project. And now we have to pay for science because it was a great money grab, and it was also a great fucking project to allow them to own the world for the indefinite future, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Well, I really hate to do this to you. I do. It hurts me. But Michael Saylor was on PBD this week.
It was a $90 billion asset class in March of 2000 when I was first looking at it. And then by August, it was about $180 billion asset class. And right now, 4 years later, it's $1.8 trillion asset class. And I think it's going to 18 trillion, then 180 trillion, then it's going to go beyond that. So I think it's a very simple thing. I think Bitcoin is going to grow from 0.1% of the money in the world to 7% of the money in the world over the next 21 years. And of course, you should just go long and keep buying it.
0.1% to, you said 7%?
Yeah, it'll go from like 1.8 trillion to $240 trillion, and it'll go up 29% a year, ARR. That is my base case.
And I've heard you say that in 21 years, it's going to be at $13 million
That
per
takes you
Bitcoin?
to 13 million a coin.
13 million a coin.
13 million a coin.
At 29%.
Every Bitcoin you don't buy is going to cost you $13 million, my friend.
Every
Think
Bitcoin.
hard.
So let me ask this
Your
question.
4 Bitcoin Ferrari is going to be a $55 million thing.
Let me ask this question. So,
now, Nolan, the last time we talked about Bitcoin, we got into it, and that was on January 7th of 2024. Now, would you like to take a guess as to what the Bitcoin price was on that day?
I'm gonna go with 37.
$44,000. So, if you had bought some Bitcoin when I was hammering you, and when you bought that wallet and you were supposed to buy some Bitcoin, you would have over doubled your money.
Yeah.
Between now and then.
Yep.
We're at $94,000 today.
Yeah.
I hope you like that Harley. I really hope you like that Harley. But, it's tough, but everybody, they get the price they deserve, and you'll get some sooner or later. We'll get you going. Honestly, like now, I think it's a bad time to invest for you, but there's a catch to that, right? Dollar cost average works great for everybody for the most part, and it's because people don't save money, right? People, as soon as they save some money, they spend it. So if you dollar cost average that savings instead of like keeping it in your checking account or your savings account, you're less likely to spend it. But if you're somebody who can be like actually, save money and be responsible with money, you're better off waiting and saving your cash for, my money guy calls it dry powder. Better off saving your dry powder for the bear market. So
yeah,
you got to start saving up for that bear market, buddy, because we're going to hit 40 again at some point, I would imagine, and that's probably going to be your magic number. So start saving your shit, because if we don't turn this thing around, if somebody shoots Trump and shoots Vance and shoots all these people, and Joe Biden reigns for another 8 years, we could be turning into Venezuela, and this is what the streets of Venezuela are looking like today. For people who are just listening, there are millions of dollars in cash laying all over the street because their cash is worthless. So worthless that it's garbage. They're throwing it away. They're burning it for fuel. Worthless. That does not happen by accident.
Yeah.
And this is what these monsters will do to our dollars if we let them. Bitcoin, gold, silver. That's your only off-ramp from shit like that. Because when that happens, man, you're fucked. There's no going back at that point. I remember a story I saw a long time ago where this guy, German, during Weimar, pulled out his life savings trying to leave right before things went to hell. Between the time he pulled it and the time he printed, they got him the check, the money was worth less than the check it was printed on.
I heard
it was like $1 million or
Yeah.
something like that. And it was
I
worth
heard that story.
less than the check it was printed on. And they will do that here if we let them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the danger of complacency. That's the danger of just watching football all day or tuning this shit out and watching dirt bikes or just enjoying your life. Like, you can enjoy your life, but you also have to keep an eye on what's going on because you don't want to be the person who gets hit with this, right?
Yeah, you gotta have.
Don't. I was talking to one of my roommates the other day. I got to be kind of quiet about this, but we were talking about the vaccine, and he was like, yeah, I'm not really political, so, I got it to protect my mom and, protect the kids at school because there was a measles outbreak. And I was like, there's a whooping cough outbreak. And I went, wait a minute, there was a whooping cough outbreak, so you got the COVID vaccine?
Yeah.
The fuck? Like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, well, yeah, I don't really know anything about this. And I go, well, I mean, at least, like, you're lucky that it's been long enough now that you're probably in the clear. And he's like, oh, no, I just got my booster yesterday. And I was like, oh, I'd say your prayers. Yeah. I'd say your fucking prayers. Yeah. Because, like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And I feel bad for him because I'm sure his employer really pressured the fuck out of him to do it. But, like, that's what you get for not paying attention. You might die. You could fucking die. I've had 2 people have strokes in my house, both vaccinated.
And that guy honestly kind of sounds like he's probably full of shit and just he probably knows where you stand, so he's just trying to like feed you a little bit. Because if he was saying that and then he's like, oh, I just got my booster, like, nah, dude,
I have no idea.
Hey, but just maybe just start advertising now that room's available.
I might have to, that's a good point. Well, shit. We're coming to the end here. Let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3 fuck the police videos this week, and I've got a funny video. Why don't we do the funny fuck the police video, and then we'll do the other funny video. Here we go.
Currently have a California driver's license. You just don't have a physical copy on you at the moment.
That's my preferred method of identification.
And this is?
It's a cat collar. I'm currently identifying as a cat.
Fair enough. The information here on the tag, I'm assuming belongs to you, the boyfriend?
Yeah. That's so rude. I hope you know I'm recording.
Well, it wasn't my intention to offend you, but he just identified as a cat, and you're wearing a Harriet's Waltz t-shirt, so forgive me if I came to a conclusion that you guys were involved in some sort of a homosexual arrangement.
I'm not mad that you think we're together, but you're using gendered language. Besides, I'm not his boyfriend, I'm his owner.
Okay. Well, look, we can do this the hard way if you'd like. I can have this car towed, because last I checked, a cat is not licensed to operate a motor vehicle in the state of California. We can have animal control come get you, take you to a shelter where your owner can retrieve you for a fee of $70 after you're given the necessary immunizations, which do include a rabies shot, possibly even spayed or neuter, whichever you prefer or identify with. Is that what you guys want to do here?
What should we do? I don't know. I don't have $70.
Sir, I can also request that a mental health care professional come down here on scene and do an evaluation of you because you're considering letting him take a rabies shot rather than just give me an ID, use some manners so I can give you your ticket and move along.
It's so great because it's so close to reality. Oh my God. That was funny. I really enjoy some of these skit videos. I need to start like figuring out how to make AI videos because we could make some really fun videos, if I could figure this shit out. The problem is it costs money to do, and I'm not getting much ROI on the podcast. So it really pains me to keep spending money on it, right? All right, last video. This one's funny because we live in a free country again. We're allowed to make jokes and we're allowed to have fun. So as with our last one, Matchbox 20 to life, here's some woman getting destroyed in the comments.
Let's make something not Italian. Now, parsley, garlic, olive oil,
Do you
and
have
an
a
onion.
recipe for
It's mixed.
largemouth bass?
Equal parts lamb
Don't
and
ever
ground
ask
beef.
me to bite
Mix it
anything.
by hand. I'm wearing gloves.
You could
Lebanese
suck off a
7
fire
spice,
hydrant.
sumac,
Great recipe.
paprika,
Now
and then
swallow
add
a
in our mixed
grapefruit bowl.
veggies, salt and pepper, and then give it all
You
a
know
mix.
she can make it disappear.
Everything is nice and combined. Now you can either
She can
form
sing 2 songs at
meatballs,
once.
patties, or put them on skewers and make
World
some
champion of
kebab. For
bobbing
lunch
for
today, I'm
apples.
going to be making some patties. No.
All right. And on that note, let's call it a night. We'll do this again next week, hopefully. Free country. Yes.